Hey everyone, how are you doing? You have Mike here today, and today we're going to talk about what makes a great fish store. Now, we made this video probably a couple of years ago now when we had about 50 subscribers, and I've actually thought about this a lot more. We've done a lot more fish tours since then. We've seen a lot more fish stores, and we've kind of noticed a lot more things than we probably would have picked up before. So I just want to share a couple things with you guys of how to pick a great fish store. And I'm going to cover everything that I've thought about for the last probably couple of years here on what really makes a great fish store, and let you guys decide from there. And if you have anything else you want to add, what you're thinking, feel free to do that in the comments down below. So first of all, how do you find a great fish store? Well, there's a couple ways to do this. My favorite way is local Facebook groups. Local fish groups will often have, if you make a post in there saying, hey, where do you guys pick up your fish? You're definitely going to get some responses back, and they're going to say, oh, go to this store, hey, this is the best one. Or you might even find a local breeder that has what you're looking for, and that might be even better than going to the fish store. So that's probably one of my favorite ones. If you are looking up fish stores, though, what you could do is the Google rating system. It actually gives you a pretty good rating, a star rating, and it goes over quite a bit of detail about the store. People can post comments on there, but I don't always recommend going by that, just because they're always going to be the new person to the hobby that's going to get a fish. It's not going to make it, and they're going to put a bad review on the store, and maybe their tank wasn't cycled, so forth. So kind of take some of those into consideration, I guess. But how is the store looking? Is the store clean? Is it really presentable? Is it organized? I know one of the things that really kind of like a pet peeve for me is tanks that are improperly marked. I've been to quite a few fish stores, and just for me, filming in the fish store where I'm trying to read and focus on the fish, and my brains can't do like 5 things at once for some reason. So I'm reading off the tags, and like, let's say for one, on a recent video that I did, I think it was earth eaters, so geos. Now, how many different types of geos are there? So if the tags are not proper on the tank and they don't have the Latin names of the fish, you can't really look it up and find out what the water parameters are, if it's going to actually suit your tank. Now, I don't recommend going to the fish store and just buying impulse fish. You should be doing your research and know what's going into your tank before you even get to the fish store. But it happens to the best of us. I know I've been caught a couple times, but at least I knew what I was kind of going to put in my tank, I guess. So that's kind of one thing that's really a good point. You have to have proper tags on your tank. That's goes with the whole organization thing. And if you're not organized, you don't have this done, your tanks aren't done, you're probably not going to be a good store. So one thing I like to do also is kind of observe the staff. Now, I actually consider this as one of the points that makes a fish store great. If you have fish store that are asking questions, someone that's buying fish, that's looking around, maybe doesn't know exactly what they're looking for. Is their tank cycled? How big of a tank are you going to put it in? They are asking questions, and I think that's great. It's always annoying when you get asked those questions, but the fact that they do ask those questions is actually great. I actually really appreciate that. Now, I don't appreciate how in the big box stores, how they recommend size tanks to what their most popular sellers are. I think that's a little bit of a joke. Obviously, a Jag cichlid is not going to live in a 40-gallon tank like they believe so at PetSmart. But that's kind of going where you get your information from. Are you going to trust the big box stores, or are you going to do your own research and come up to your own conclusion and go, oh, maybe we might want to put this in a 180-gallon or 200-gallon plus tank because it's going to grow to 16, 17, maybe up to 27 inches long. How is that going to fit in a 40-gallon tank, right? So, like I said, research is key when you're going into a fish store to know what you're actually going to get. So one thing I'm a little bit iffy about is usually the return policy. If they have a return policy, that usually doesn't mean they quarantine their fish. They're just putting them out onto the floor, and out they go out the door. And basically the whole point of that is, well, if the fish die, you can come back and bring it back. And then another point of this is often when you'll try to bring that fish back, they'll go, well, maybe it's because you don't have enough fish in there. And once again, blind questions that you usually see at the big box stores, and they'll convince the person to buy more fish. Now, for me with quarantine process, you can actually ask your fish store what their quarantine process is, and most reputable stores will tell you. There's one big thing that I just absolutely will not do, is I will not buy fish that are medicated. So if a fish store is taking in all the fish and medicating, the wild caughts are a different story. But if you're just medicating all the fish, that's going against what's recommended by the companies that make the medications. It's making your fish resistant to antibiotics. So 6 months down the road, your fish gets sick, and guess what? The antibiotics don't work. So that is definitely something that I consider when I'm looking at a fish store. And like I said, I am not afraid to ask those questions. So another thing that I find really nice is when a fish store will come forward and say, this is what I'm feeding my fish, and they will have it advertised all over their store. So if you have a fish store that's advertising, they're usually advertising high quality foods, and they're not getting bulk foods. So you're definitely going to have better quality coming out of these fish, nicer colors because they're actually being fed proper foods. And they might not also be using what do you guys call boosting fish, or giving them steroids or whatever they're doing to enhance the color of the fish. They're usually not doing that if they're advertising that they're feeding, let's say, Hikari or Northfin or whatever else food that's out there, right? So selling injured fish, selling sick fish, and live feeding in stores. I'm going to hit on all these topics right now. So recently I was in a fish store. I'm not going to mention which one, but it was a local fish store, and the fish was completely blind. It didn't have any eyes at all. They were completely gone out, and it was a predatory fish, and it was bumping around a tank, and selling this fish at full price. This is the exact same thing as when we bought Todd. He was blind in one eye. I paid almost $30 for my blood parrot Todd, and that's absolutely ridiculous. You go to stores like Fanatics in Toronto or Mississauga, and when I was actually there, he had an Oscar that was in a tank for I think 3 months. He was a big enough Oscar, and he says, you know what? He says, it's time to let this fish go to a good home. So when somebody came in that was looking at him, he says, what kind of tank do you have? Made sure it was a proper size tank, and he gave him away. And I've seen this at other local fish stores here as well, where they've actually just given away fish that are injured. If you can't, in this case of a fish that's totally blind, it's a predator, I feel it should have been humanely destroyed, but that's me. If somebody had a decent home that they would really want to take care of this fish and just baby it, hand feed it basically for the rest of its life, and it wouldn't really have a life to begin with, so that's kind of where some people, aren't comfortable with, but I believe that if a fish is suffering and the fish isn't living its life, it's easier to put it down. And that's just the way I feel about it. So another thing about sick fish would be fish that are, fish stores that use sumps. Now, good fish stores, like Fanatics here, they don't use sump systems. They have corner sponges, which is in every tank, and they clean them all out. But some fish stores have sump systems. So where I'm more concerned about is the cold water fish in this time, but it doesn't really matter. It's just the fish tanks that are connected to the feeder fish. You usually see at big box stores. I mean, how many of those fish are dead or half dying? And the water circulating through all the other cold water tanks. And as you know, parasites all gets transferred from other tanks. So sumps are something I try to stay away from. If it's a fish store that has shared sumps, it's usually a no-go for me. And if I do have to get a fish from there, it will be in a quarantine for a very long time. Probably a couple of months before it even gets put near my tank. I've had my own run-ins with this, and I gave my fish ick before. I didn't lose any fish, fortunately, so I learned my lesson. And since then, I've just been a lot more cautious about how I do my quarantine process and how I monitor the fish and really observe them. Sorry to get back on the quarantine there, but huge fish in small tanks. If I see huge fish in small tanks, it's kind of worrisome for me. I don't like seeing that, but I understand that it does happen. They do get in large fish. People do want large fish. But like I said, they should be either rotating the fish into larger tanks, or getting rid of them if they're there for a long time, like some reputable stores do, like we just mentioned. Live feedings in stores. I know we kind of went on this, but I was in a fish store recently that was live feeding fish. And that's fine if you want to live feed. But the fact is, it was a piranha this size, and it was a goldfish this size. So the goldfish had basically no more fins left. It was just floating in the tank, but it wasn't proper size. Like the piranha didn't just eat it and that was gone. So it was made to let the fish suffer. So that kind of thinking of it, I don't agree with that. And if I seen that in a fish store like I did, I actually walked out of there. And hey, that's how it goes. All right, so I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, give it a like. And yeah, you guys have yourself a great day.